All right, I'm here with Ron Wade, and Ron, you've done amazing work here with some of the things that we've seen. Tell us exactly what we're looking at here, because this is kind of, I guess, what you'd call a fresh mummy.
Well, it's a new old mummy. What we did is we did a project back in 1994 that was a replication of Egyptian mummification. I'm at the University of Maryland Anatomical Services Division as a director, but my interest really is human preservation, whether it be for long-term study, like for cadavers in medical school, or short-term study, like for clinical training and paramedics, EMTs. So this kind of, as a project, kind of made sense since the Egyptians were the first ones to develop a process to preserve the human body. And they had a method and a process that dealt with science as well as pathology and chemistry, and so it worked out well.
Now, this is a particular gentleman, and you did this back in 1994, so what we're looking at here, this happened just a little more than 20 years ago.
Correct, that's right.
And this, where did you get this gentleman?
Well, in Maryland, we have a state body donor program, and so instead of most states where you donate your body to the medical school, in Maryland you donate to the Anatomy Board, which is a board of the health department. So I meet the needs of all the medical study programs, so we in that way can use people that have died from different diseases, different causes of death, rather than to say not accept a body. Because of our study at one school, we're able to accept more donations. We work with organ tissue programs and things like that. This gentleman actually had donated his body 10 or 12 years before he died. He had a heart condition, he had 2 prior heart attacks, and he died of natural causes. At the time that he died, we were looking for a candidate to be treated like a king. And at the time that he died of heart failure in a hospital, and it just so happened I spoke to the wife that night because the concern was whether or not we would still accept him as a donation. So, I assured her that we would, and in fact we did, and a few days later we decided we'd treat him like a king.
Well, what a noble and unselfish act on his part and his wife's part. And you say I understand he lived quite a long life.
Well, he was nearly 80 years old, exactly, because this is the legacy. When you do a body donation like that, you leave for the next generation, and my duty and obligation is to advance the science, whether it be health, medicine, or whatever, to have impact on those of us that are still living and around. So.
Now, I'm just really curious, does the family of this gentleman who was so generous with his body, did they know that this has happened?
Well, they know that he's involved in a very long-term project. Do they know exactly what the project is? No, and the reason they don't know is primarily because they didn't ask. Usually, when in running the donor program, for example, some people want to know, others don't, because it can kind of open up the whole grief response thing. So we base it on the family's needs, what their needs are, and we work very closely with the families. That's why we have like 80,000 donors, and we get a lot of donations in, and a lot of them are through the families. So it's a very worthwhile program.
Ron Wade, we thank you very much for your time and for your work. Your work is magnificent, and there are so many things to see here at the Leonardo, and this is just one of them, a mummy that is only 21 years old. So just one of those great things that you can see here and be fascinated by, and we urge you to come on down to the Leonardo and check it all out, because it is huge.